Hey, what's up everybody? Ali with a brand new video. Let's talk about some of the boring things that are simply tedious and it's too hard to do, but you simply ignore it because you don't feel that you're getting the rewards right away. In today's video, we're going to talk about some of the boring yet useful tactics that you need to use when it comes to fixing your credit and the reason why you need to pay attention to them instead of ignoring them, regardless of how boring and redundant it looks. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the concept of fixing your credit in a structural way that's long-term benefit. You have to envision your future self. You have to think about what are some of the long-term consequences of not doing things right the first time around instead of waiting around to make it do it and later down the road. What are some of the benefits of doing it instantly the right way instead of trying to find shortcuts that you want to get instant gratification on and you feel that that's going to be the quicker way for you to resolve a challenge or issue. So lately I've had conversations that I scheduled with clients, and let me share some of the experiences and backstories, right? So I had this one client ask me, what are some of the repercussions of adding trade lines? Will the FICO 10, FICO 10T affect the trade lines that I'm getting, authorized user trade lines that is? And if so, what should I do about them? And my answer is very simple. See, authorized user trade lines, we have to keep in mind that at the end of the day, it's something that you need to add if you know for a fact that that individual that you're adding the trade line from is somebody that you know or is a degree away from you and within probably the same proximity in terms of state. And the reason I say that is because a lot of these primary accounts that are being extended as authorized users on other profiles, they're being shut down, right? They're being shut down because of fraudulent activity. And let me explain why and the backstory behind a lot of challenges with authorized users and the reason why you need to pay attention to do it the right way the first time around. So with authorized users, there's been that challenge where accounts were shut down because of fraudulent activity. The fraudulent activities are very simple to understand. Okay, what they are essentially is basically you're providing an account to somebody that's out of state, out of region. And I talked about this in some of my previous videos, which didn't get a lot of attention, I guess, because a lot of people were not really focused and paying attention to doing the right things. But the individuals outside your state, right? Going back to that topic. And if they're outside of your state, they're outside of your proximity, there's a risk that you know or you don't know them. So what creditors typically do is they look at some of the internal audit scenarios and verify whether or not that individual is somebody that you may have a relationship with, or it's somebody that you're potentially just extending credit to without really gaining some sort of significant compensation for. So if you're getting compensation, what you're simply doing is you're playing in the bank's territory. So you have to be very careful there. So I had individuals whose primary accounts were shut down, and luckily they weren't sued by the creditors because you're essentially distributing a banking product without a license and getting compensated in exchange for that, which is an authorized user game, right? The second thing you have to pay attention to is the fact that, look, if you're giving authorized users to somebody who's outside your state, the creditors definitely look at whether a physical card was actually provided with, right? That cancels out any type of fraudulent activity. The reason why I say that is because if you're providing a physical copy, chances are that card will be used, right? Chances are that card will be activated and that account will be building up credit and building up debt along the process to kind of de-risk the whole scenario of whether or not it was extended in context of an exchange of funds where no physical copy of cards were sent out. So there's multiple scenarios that creditors will look at when it comes to fraudulent authorized user activities. So that's why it's very critical that you pay attention to doing it the first time around. And that's why I say try to focus around the areas of getting actual authorized users from individuals you know, family, friends, associate, colleagues, a degree away from you that would actually benefit you instead of putting you in trouble, because that's the last thing you want for yourself, right? So that's the first thing you need to pay attention to. Let's talk about the second point, which is when it comes to fixing your personal credit, what steps are you taking, right? A lot of people are doing credit repair company hopping. We talked about this in another video. And the credit repair company hopping trick is basically you going from one company to another because you're not seeing results in 30 days or 60 days. The game of impatience causes more impatience long term. The reason why, it's because you're basically building up and stacking up different tactics or different individual styles, and you're basically ramping up all that and putting it on the shoulders of the credit reporting agencies to solve it for you in a very quick period of time. And the reality to that is nobody can really control that unless otherwise the credit reporting agencies say, you know what, here's the situation. We find this is frivolous. We're going to stop it right here. All the accounts that we talked about has been already verified. If you have any other issues you want to take up that's outside of these, let us know. So that puts you in a lot of huge limbo because now you cannot really solve that. And you're stuck. You're stuck because now you've been credit company hopping and they're basically not finding a solution, and now you're frustrated. Now you're trying to find the fastest solution possible, and you let go of all the type of logic that would play in. You're playing with emotion. And when you play with emotion, you make the bad decisions. You make the wrong choices. And that's why you have to be very careful with that. So instead of credit repair company hopping, really focus on your goal, your end result, your end product. What's the future version of your credit profile? I want you to think about that and then chase credit repair based on that. Reverse engineer it. Speeding up a process is not possible in credit repair. A lot of people will do things that are very illegal. They'll tell you they're not doing it, but they're doing it illegally. I've had people that spoke to me on a conversation and they're saying, hey, Ali, this person told me that, she can do it in like 5 business days or 21 days, and they have a code that the credit bureaus would accept. That's total BS. I'm telling you why this is BS, because if you're ever hiring somebody that tells you this, I want you to, run the other direction. There was 2 reasons why this is BS. Number 1, the credit reporting agencies don't simply allow you to use a code to solve a dispute. That's an automated process by the e-Oscar. The people who are using the softwares like Metro 2 softwares and things to report accounts have been verified by the credit reporting agencies in order to have activities that are relationships between the credit bureau and that creditor. There's a huge disclosure process, huge compliance process in order to get approved, even before touching an account and a consumer, let alone reporting. So when a credit repair company, which is the absolute arch nemesis of the credit reporting agencies, is submitting it based on a code, it's total BS. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. Second thing is, if somebody's not telling you a process on how they fixed your credit, if they're not able to give you some clarity and the direction on which they fix your credit, or at least the steps that are needed to take, then you should be careful with that. Why? It's because you need clarity. If I'm doing something for you and if you don't understand what I'm doing for you, you're not educated in the steps that are needed to be taken in order to fix that issue with your credit. But at the same time, you're taking it on blind faith and not really understanding what it is. And not knowing these things causes 2 things. Number 1, it can cause you to be extremely frustrated with the process because you're not seeing the outcomes. And number 2, it will cause you to credit repair company hop, basically go to another company. And that's what we're trying to avoid, right? Because then you have so many different processes happening at the same time, it mixes up your files. So by knowing this information on how the credit process works, and let's say credit sweeps or strategies that are pretty much compliant and ethical, even if you're not getting 100% of the results right away, you know the game, you know the end product, you know exactly the steps that are needed in order to get that result. And this is very critical because a lot of people have no patience whatsoever when it comes to this, and they're losing their minds. And I think that it's very critical that you understand the processes that are being taken in order to help resolve your credit profile. And the reason why you need to know them is because the end result is it's your personal credit, right? There's a lot of steps you need to take in order to build that credit. It takes years sometimes, and the last thing you want to do is put it in jeopardy. And I think it's not going to really help you if you do that, because you're probably dependent on credit to go through a transaction in the shortcoming weeks or months or probably a year. And the last thing you want to do is kind of create an area of a big dark cloud with huge uncertainty that doesn't provide you clarity in terms of what direction you need to take. So that's some of the things I want you to be careful with, right? So we talked about AUs. We talked about why it's dangerous to not trust anybody with credit repair, which just doesn't give you any disclosure or transparency in terms of the process they take, as well as it's the dangers of the AU game and some of the reasons as to why primary account holders are being shut down, and the level of patience you need in order to exercise a credit repair campaign the proper way. So you'll also notice another thing about me and my channel, right? Some days or weeks I put a lot of content all together because I find the topics are very relevant to what's happening now. And some weeks, like this week, I'm putting out videos every couple of days, spread out. And the reason why, it's because I want you guys to really learn the materials that I put out there for you the proper way before I put out new content that's potentially confusing and adding more to the uncertainty that you have. When it comes to the credit game, I really want you to focus on the right steps needed to fix and resolve your credit and enhance it in a way that's ethical, compliant, long-term thinking. Like I said, envision the future version of your credit profile and create a plan around that. Always reverse engineer that. And if any advice I can give you on a personal level from all the thousands of customers I spoke to, do it the right way the first time around. You don't want to risk your file. There's no benefit to you by risking your file or trying to rush a process that's not meant to be rushed. At the end of the day, you don't control the credit bureaus. Anybody else stating otherwise is completely fraudulent, lying to you, and basically they want your money. That's all they want. From my perspective, I'm an educator first. I try to do compliance, ethical things at the beginning so that it doesn't hurt you long term. And I think that's good for you, because at the end of the day, it's still your credit profile. It's still your wealth you have to worry about, right? So this final message is addressing the middle class people who are doing credit repair, right? There's a lot of things that you're not satisfied with. Mediocrity could be something that you're just fed up with, and you're trying to rush into your path of success and trying to be as wealthy as possible so that you can be relieved this 9-to-5 job, the grind, and you want to jump into something that's more meaningful. But you cannot jump into things that are more meaningful with the current habits that you have, right? Because whatever you do now on a personal level is definitely going to translate on a business level. You always want to structure your mindset first. Make sure that you've proven that that mindset is working for you by practicing and implementing the steps that I teach, or even the things that needed to be done in order to improve your quality of performance on the way it's credit, budgeting, accounting, income, earning potential. From that perspective, then you're ready to jump on and evolve over time, right? Wealth is built through evolution. It's never built linear. Because linear means it's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Mr. Einstein clearly stated that was insanity. Our goal is to grow. Our goal is to build a lot of wealth. So number one, credit-wise, do the steps the right way. Understand some of the logistics, understands the ethical structures of doing it the right way. And number two, if you're going to chase the big money, if you're going to chase wealth, be positioned properly in order to evolve along the steps that are needed in order to achieve that wealth. It's never going to happen overnight. A lot of people don't realize that, but the only time you're going to do it overnight is if you're Goldman Sachs or one of the big investment banking firms, or a Swiss bank like Julius Baer. You're doing billions of dollars of transactions. You make significant amount of trades over a period of time that give you a lot of growth. We're not talking about that. We're talking about credit. We're talking about the middle class transitioning into a wealthier position or a poorer position, depending on the financial moves that you take. So I hope this video was helpful. Again, I just wanted to spill some of the things I felt was a huge concern for the community here on YouTube, as well as some of the people who are trying to fix their credit the right way. After having so many conversations the last week, I believe it was about time to put this video out and help you guys realize the potential that you need to work with so that you do it the right way. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, and you've been watching my videos and you like the information that I'm sharing, consider subscribing and turning that bell icon on, so every time there's videos like these, you'll be first to be notified. And with that said, leave me a comment below on what you guys think about our conversation today. What are some of the things that you feel would be good step forward to help you improve your personal credit, as well as what are your thoughts when it comes to improving the middle class situation in the US, especially given the fact that there's a lot of people who are doing it the wrong way when it comes to building wealth. So I hope you enjoyed. This is your guide and mentor, Ali Tarafter. I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.